ngikhumbule izihlobo anabazali Ngiyathandaza Amen. Lesihlabelelo ekade sihlabelela isihlabelelo sosizi sikhumbula abantu bonke abahambile emhlabeni eSouth Africa engizokuthiwa njengamanje about 28,000.
This hymn is a hymn that is a sorrowful hymn, and we remember all the people who have passed away in South Africa, which I've heard to be in their thousands.
Ngikhuluma nje ngabantu abase South Africa ukuthi sebebalela ku 28,000 abafile nje ngo 2020.
I'm just solely speaking about South Africans which have been counted to the number 28,000 just in the year 2020.
Kukhona into esifundisile ngalesi sifo esi coronavirus noma besiyazi kodwa esicace kakhulu njengamanje.
There is a lesson that we learned through this coronavirus, through this pandemic, although we knew it, but it has been evident now.
Lokhu esikufundile ukuthi noma umhlaba wonke unamabandla onke emhlabeni kodwa akakho amabandla akholelwa kuNkulunkulu.
That even though the whole world is full of congregations, but there are no congregations that are found to hold steadfastly in the belief in God.
Kuyacaca ukuthi ngendlela amabandla enza ngayo ukuba khona kwaNkulunkulu nokusonda kuukuchitha isizungu lokho kuthiwa entertainment.
It is clear that although there is God and congregations exist, that coming to church and worshiping God is an entertainment to people.
Angakho ukuthi into ngempela amabandla akholelwayo ukuthi uNkulunkulu khona.
It is not something that they honestly believe that God does exist.
Nokuthi uNkulunkulu kukhona into ongayenza kuba ebasize mase bahluphekile.
And that God can help them when they are stricken with sorrows.
uNkulunkulu into nje noma ukuchitha izungu sokuthi kube yinto oyenzayo umhla weneme noma ukhululekile.
For them, the worshipping of God is something that they do to waste time when they are bored, or to entertain themselves when they have the time to do so.
Lento ingithusile ngoba bengicabanga ukuthi kusebuKristwini kuphela. Kodwa ngimangele umana ama-Muslims esethi kufanele abantu bengayi esontweni.
This occurrence surprised me because I only thought that it existed amongst the Christians, But I was surprised to hear the Muslims also saying that because of this pandemic, people shouldn't be going to churches.
Uma uhulumeni noma ohulumeni bethi akungayiwe esontweni ngiye ngikuqonde lokho ukuthi bakusholana.
I understand it when it is the government which says that we should not go to church.
Kodwa uma sekusho amakhanda noma inhloko zenkolo zithi akungayiwa esontweni ngoba kubalekelwa i-coronavirus, ngiyangidideke ukuthi kanti uNkulunkulu usiza makunjani.
But I'm confused when the same is said by church leaders, and I ask myself then, how does God actually help? In what situations does God help?
Ngabe uNkulunkulu ungenye yento kufanele ukuthi sibe kube umdlalo othile esiwenza mhla seneme, noma uNkulunkulu kufanele ebonakalise ukuba khona kwakhe mhla sihluphekile.
And I ask myself, is God an entity which we should entertain ourselves with when we are bored, or should he show his might when we are stricken with poverty?
Ngabe uNkulunkulu into ekhona noma uNkulunkulu inganekwane nje esiya esixoxe masisemasontweni?
Does God really exist, or we just consider him to be a folklore that we recite when we are in churches?
Uma ekhona uphi?
Then if he does exist, then where is he?
Athini amakholwa ngaye athi uphi?
What do the congregants say about God? Where do they say he is?
Bathi uNkulunkulu usiza makunjani?
What do they say about God helping us in such situations?
Ngamanye amazwi lokhu esikufunda eBhayibhelini ukuthi uNkulunkulu wahamba nabantwana bakwaIsrayeli akulona iqiniso.
In other words, what we read in the Bible, that God journeyed with the children of Israel, is not something that is true. It is just a fairy tale. It is a folklore.
Ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyehlukanisa ulwandle akusilona iqiniso, inganekwane nje esixoxa emasontweni.
The fact that God separated the sea is just a folklore that we recite in churches.
Lokhu ukuthi uNkulunkulu wahlisela abantwana bakwaIsrayeli mana iminyaka engamashumi ebondla kwinyama evela ezulwini, yonke leyo nto iyinto nje ekufanele siyixoxe emasontweni kodwa engekho.
The fact that God provided for the children of Israel through manna is just a folklore that does not exist, but we should narrate in churches despite.
Lokhu ukuthi abantwana bakwaIsrayeli kwakuthi mase besenkingeni uNkulunkulu ekhiphe ingilosi ibulala abantu aba-185,000 ngesikhathi esisodwa, into leyo okufanele siyixoxe nje kodwa engekho.
The fact that God sent an angel to help the children of Israel when they were faced with troubles, and it killed or murdered 185,000 people, is something that we should just narrate, but it is a fabrication.
Ukuthi uNkulunkulu ukhona ingona phakade into engekho indaba nje kufanele siyixoxe emabandleni.
The fact that God exists till eternity is something that is not true. It is something that we should just talk about in churches though.
Akusho mina kusho izenzo onke amakholwa azenzile ukuthi ukuya esontweni kuyinto nje sisuke siyixoxa kodwa mase sisenkingeni asidingi ukuthi siye esontweni.
It is not something that I am saying, but the behavior and acting of the congregants says that going to church is something that we should do for entertainment.
Leyo nto ke iyethusa kakhulu noma besiyazi kodwa manje ibonakalisiwe.
Though we knew that, but it is surprising when it comes to manifestation.
Ngoba uma uNkulunkulu bekhona noma sikholwa ukuthi uNkulunkulu ukhona, njengoba sekuqhamukele le pandemic, sitheni kuNkulunkulu?
Because if we believed truly that God did exist, when this pandemic came, what did we say to God?
Ashongo lutho.
We said nothing.
Okubalekile sikushoyo ilokho okusho uhulumeni nabeze science ukuthi sibe sigcina ama distance, sivale ngama mask, senze lokho nalokho, ikhona lokho esikwazi ukuthi kuzosiphilisa.
What is important is that we keep repeating what the politicians and scientists saying when they say that we should wear our masks and keep our social distancing. And for us, that is what we believe will give us life.
Into eshunyelwa emhlabeni ukuthi uma kufika i-vaccine iyona ezophilisa abantu.
What is preached on the face of the earth is that when the vaccine comes, that will be the breakthrough.
Kodwa akukhulunywa lutho ngoNkulunkulu.
But nothing is said about God.
Kokhulunywa ngoNkulunkulu uma ngabe i-coronavirus ingasekho.
People will start talking about God when the coronavirus is no more or has passed.
Ngoba ukukhuluma ngoNkulunkulu kuqhathaniswa noma kufaniswa ne-entertainment ukuthi hayi manje seningakhuluma ngoNkulunkulu niye emabholeni, hayi manje seningenza lokhu nalokhu. Kodwa uNkulunkulu akayona i-priority empilweni zethu kubantu bonke emhlabeni.
Because speaking about God is equated to entertainment, and that is why we will return back to churches when soccer matches start, because people is not a priority on people.
Ngelinye ilanga ngangakhuluma ukuthi emhlabeni wonke uNkulunkulu akekho, uNkulunkulu lapha endlini kuphela.
I once spoke that God is not found in all of the face of the earth apart from this very building that we are gathered in.
Abantu babecabanga ukuthi ngiyayisholo nje.
And people thought that I was just saying that.
Kodwa kuliqiniso.
But it is true.
uNkulunkulu emhlabeni akakhonzwa.
God is not worshipped on the face of the earth.
uNkulunkulu emhlabeni akathenjwa ukuthi ukhona.
And people do not have the faith that God does exist.
Kulabo kuphela endini lapha esasikhona ukuthi uNkulunkulu ukhona.
It is just at this place where we gather in that we believe that God does exist.
uNkulunkulu bantwana abayingcwele ukhona.
God does exist.
Lo uNkulunkulu owayekhona ngesikhathi ehamba nabantwana bakwaIsrael namanje usekhona.
The God that journeyed with the children of Israel still exists.
uNkulunkulu uyasindisa.
God saves.
Akakho omunye umuntu okwazi ukusindisa njengoNkulunkulu lo ogama lakhe linguJehova.
And nobody can save like Yahweh.
uNkulunkulu futhi akawakhuluma amanga.
And God does not speak lies.
uNkulunkulu uhlala ekhuluma iqiniso.
He is forever true.
uNkulunkulu lo esimkhonzayo angeke umfanise nalutho.
You cannot compare the God that we worship to anything.
Ngiyazi ukuthi sekukhona abantu abathi bangoNkulunkulu.
I'm aware that there are people who have titled themselves to be God.
Kodwa nginganitshengisa ukuthi uzothi uphela lo nyaka ka2021 kube sekubonakala ukuthi uNkulunkulu yedwa.
But I can promise you that at the end of this year, which is 2021, it will be evident that there is but one God.
Uzothi uphela unyaka ka2021 kube sekukwaziwa umhlaba ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyasindisa.
By the time that this year ends, everyone will know that God saves.
Ekseni ngifunde incwadi kaIsaiah 59 verse 1 lapha uNkulunkulu echaza khona ukuthi angakho ukuthi uNkulunkulu mhlawumbe akaboni okwenzekayo noma akakuzwa okwenzekayo.
In the morning I read the book of Isaiah chapter 59 verses 1, and I said that it is not that God does not see or hear what is going on.
Kodwa izono zethu izona ezivala amehlo kaNkulunkulu, izona ezivala indlebe zikaNkulunkulu.
But it is our iniquities which have separated us from the sight of God and from God to hear us.
Uma kukhona into umhlaba ongayimisele kuyenza ukukhonza uNkulunkulu.
If there is one thing that the world should start doing, it is to worship God.
Kodwa ayimisele ukuthi yenze into eshiwo uNkulunkulu.
But they must be willing to do but they are not willing to do what God is saying.
Ngenxa yokuthi bayazi ukuthi abamkhonza uNkulunkulu, uma sekuvela izinto ezinjengalezi bavele bethalalise benze sengathi akekho.
But because they know that they do not worship God, when such things occur, they hide away and pretend as if God does not exist.
Isaiah 46 verse 5 nanga amazwi kaNkulunkulu.
In the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, verses 5, these are the words of God.
Niyakungifanisa ningilinganise nobani?
With whom will you compare me or count me equal?
Ningiqhathanise nobani ukuba sifane na?
To whom will you liken me that we may be compared?
Leli ivangeli esilishumayelile lokhu saqala sishumayele ivangeli lokuthi uNkulunkulu angeke umqhathanise namuntu, uNkulunkulu ngeke umfanise namuntu.
Since we started preaching, we have been proclaiming that you cannot compare God to anyone and you cannot liken God to anything.
Abanye abantu ke bese bezakhele uNkulunkulu babo base bayasithuka.
And people who had erected their own gods started insulting us.
Kodwa kuzothi kuphela lonyaka kube sekucaca ukuthi onkulunkulu bangaki la emhlabeni.
But before this year ends, people will know how many gods there are.
Uthi ke Ujehova ningesabi ukusolwa ngabantu.
And God says, do not be fearful of being do not be fearful of people putting you into question.
Ningapheli amandla ngezithuko zabo.
And do not worry about their insults.
Ngokuba inundo iyakubadla njengengubo.
For worms will consume them like the garments.
Nebhulu ibadle njengoboya bezimvu.
And worms will consume them like the skin of sheep.
Kodwa ukulunga kwami kuyakuma kuze kube phakade.
But my righteousness shall be forever.
Nensindiso yami ezizukulwaneni ngezizukulwane.
And my redemption upon generations and generations.
Yikho-ke ngithi noma abantu bengasithuka noma bengathini kodwa asimi kuleli lokuthi uNkulunkulu uyedwa.
That is why I say no matter what people insult us and say, I stand in saying that there is but one God.
Ngoba siyazi ukuthi ekugcineni kuzokwenzekani ngoba sihamba noNkulunkulu.
For we know what will happen at the end, for we are journeying with God.
Laba abantu abasithukayo abacabanga ukuthi khona omnye uNkulunkulu ngaphandle kwaJehova bazokwisola.
And the people who think that there are other gods besides Yahweh will regret themselves.
Ngoba asekude isikhathi ukuthi asekude isikhathi esifana nalesi sika Eliya noma uElisha owaqhathanisa ngaso amandla kaJehova namandla oBhali.
For the time is not too far, which will be the same as the time of Elijah, comparing the powers of God to those of Baal.
Njoba ngisho kuzothi kuphela unyaka kube sekucaca ukuthi ubani uNkulunkulu ongafiki, ubani uNkulunkulu onamandla onke.
And as I'm saying, before this year ends, it will be seen as to which God lives forever and which God is all-powerful.
Into engisho kunina ukuthi manisibindi ngoba uNkulunkulu ungakini.
What I say to you is that be brave because God is on your side.
Futhi umani banesibindi akazosuka kini.
And if you stand courageous, he will not forsake you.
Ngo 2019 kwafika ingilosi kithi yasitshela ukuthi ukhona izifo ezimbi kakhulu ezizovela emhlabeni.
In the year 2019, the angel came to us and told us that there are terrible diseases that will strike the earth.
Yathi ingilosi lezi zifo zizobe zingaphezulu kakhulu kwe-HIV.
And she said that these diseases will be far worse than HIV.
Sakulalela lokho kodwa sangakuthatha kakhulu.
We listened to that, but we did not be attentive to it.
Kodwa kuthe masesiqala lesi sifo ngo-2020 yabuya futhi ingilosi yasitshela ukuthi nazo-ke lezo zifo seziyaqala.
And when this pandemic started in the year 2020, the angel came back to us and told us that these are the diseases I told you about, and it is the beginning.
Yayisithi ingilosi nikelani kuNkulunkulu nicele ukuphila lesi sifo lesi nivikeleke kuso.
And then she said that we should give offerings before God and plead that we have life and that we are protected from this disease.
Yathi ningayiceleli nina nodwa nicelele nehlobo zenu noma nemndeni yenu ukuthi ingabulawa yilesi sifo.
And she said that we should not only plead on our behalf but also on the behalf of our relatives and family.
Ngiyafisa ukuba ngutshele umhlaba ukuthi kusukela lesi sifo saqala alikho ilunga laleli bandla eselike labulawa yi-coronavirus.
I wish to announce it upon the face of the earth that since this pandemic started, there is not even a single member from this church that passed away because of this virus.
Siyababona nje abantu bewa ngapha nangapha kodwa akakho umuntu nje kuleli bandla esesike samlilela ukuthi ubulalwe yi-coronavirus.
We see people from all sides passing away, but there is nobody which we lamented for who passed away because of this coronavirus.
Akugcini lapho ngokuqonda kwami akakho umuntu oyisihlobo eseduze kwamalunga leli bandla osekwabulawa yi-coronavirus.
And that is not the end of it, but in accordance to my understanding, there is not even a single member of this church which has a close relative that has passed away from this virus.
Uma kuba khona umuntu kuleli bandla obenenkinga noma ngiyani noma ukugula kwesihlobo sakhe noma ingane yakhe babe sibikele.
If ever there is a church member here who has a relative that falls sick, they always report that to us.
Abantu abaningi mase kusebusuku bawavala amaselula kodwa thina siwavali ngoba sisuke sibheke inkulumo noma ama-report abantu busuku bonke.
Though many people shut down their phones during the night, we do not do that because we are always vigilant to get reports from people.
Ngoba sabekwa ukuthi sinibheke.
Because we were placed here to look after you.
So ngisho ngaze kube sekusuku kangakanani ngisho ngaze kube u2 ebusuku uma kungena ucingo lomuntu ekhala ethi sekwenzeka ukuthi nokuthi emzini wami siyaphoqeleka ukuthi sivuke sihambe siyobikela uNkulunkulu.
So even if it is during midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, whenever somebody gives us a call and says that something terrible has happened in their household, we are compelled to wake up and report that to God.
Noma umuntu efelwe isihlobo noma esiyongcwaba uyayisitshela.
Even if a person has a relative that has passed away and they are about to carry out the funeral, they tell us.
Kodwa kulokhu kwasukela yaqala i-coronavirus angikhumbuli kufika umuntu kuleli banda ozongitshela ukuthi sekufe noma ingane yakhe noma unina noma udadewabo nento enjalo ebulalwa yi-coronavirus.
But since the pandemic began, we have never ever received a report that there is somebody who has a child or any family member that has passed away because of the coronavirus.
Lento engikhulumayo iyiqiniso elimsulwa.
What I'm speaking about is the truth.
Futhi lokhu ukuthi singafi sibulalwa yi-coronavirus nokuthi singabanazi ihlobo eseduze kwethu ebulalwa yi-coronavirus into esayicela uNkulunkulu wasinika yona.
And the fact that we have not experienced any passing away from this coronavirus is something that we asked of God, and God has given that to us.
Ingilosi yaseluleka ukuthi kasicele ukuphila sicele nokuthi ihlobo eseduze kwethu ziphile i-coronavirus ingasibulali.
The angel advised us that we should ask from God that we are protected from the coronavirus and our relatives likewise, so that we are not killed by it.
Isike yafika ingilosi kulezi insuku yazokhuluma ngaleyo.
The angel came in these days and spoke about that.
Yathi niyabona yini ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyamukele umnikelo wenu.
And she said, "Do you see that God accepted your offerings?"
akakho umuntu ebandleni onishile ebulawa i-coronavirus.
There is not a member from this congregation that passed away because of the coronavirus.
Yathi njengoba nacela ukuthi ihlobo zenu zingafi ibulawa i-coronavirus, asikho ihlobo esesike noma umuntu ebandleni oseke wabika ukuthi unomntana akhe noma udade wabo osefile ebulawa i-coronavirus.
And as you also asked that your families and close relatives be protected, there has never been a report from someone saying that they have experienced someone dying from the coronavirus.
Ithike ingilosi uNkulunkulu unibonise into enkulu.
And the angel said that God has shown you something great.
Unibonisile ukuthi ukhona.
He has shown you that he is alive.
Unibonisile futhi ukuthi uyayimukela imithandazo yenu.
And he has shown you that he receives or accepts your offerings.
Ithike ingilosi uNkulunkulu uma ekwenzela into ubonga.
And the angel said that if God does something for you, you must give thanks.
Ungavele nje uthathe ngokuthi into uNkulunkulu ozokwenzele yona ibizovela iyenzeke kodwa ubucelile wena specifically ukuthi leyo nto iyenzeke.
Do not be of the mindset that what God did for you was supposed to happen despite you having asked for it.
Ithi ingilosi nacela specifically ukuthi niphile inganibulali i-coronavirus.
The angel said that you specifically asked that you stay alive and the coronavirus does not kill you.
Nacela specifically ukuthi nezihlobo eziseduze kwenu zingafi zibulale i-coronavirus.
And you asked specifically that your relatives, close relatives or immediate family is also not killed by the coronavirus.
And lokho esikucelile kwenzekile.
And that which you asked for did happen.
Kungenzeka ukuthi abanye abantu sebekhohliwe abazange bayinaka leyo nto.
It could be possible that some people have forgotten about that.
Kodwa iqiniso ukuthi njengoba silapha nje akakho umuntu phakathi kwethu ongekho obulalwe i-coronavirus.
But the truth is that there is no one amongst us who is not here today who passed away from the coronavirus.
Ngike ngiyibuza ukuthi lolu thando lungaka luvele kanjani lwavelela thina.
And I asked myself, how has it happened that such love has befallen upon us?
Ngizibuza ukuthi kube bingekho lengilosi bengizoyicabanga lento even yokuthi nje sicele uNkulunkulu ukuthi siphile ngendlela esenze ngayo.
And I always ask myself, had the angel not been with us, would I have thought of this to give offerings and ask that we stay alive as we did?
uNkulunkulu ke uyayibongwe ngemnikelo.
Whenever you give thanks to God, you give offerings.
Ithi ingilosi kufanele sinikele sicele uNkulunkulu sibonge uNkulunkulu ukuthi usivikele ku-coronavirus.
And the angel said that we must give offerings to God and thank God that he has protected us from the coronavirus.
Ithi kodwa okukhulu ngokuzayo.
But she said that what is even greater is what is to come.
Abantu basazofa kakhulu bebulawa i-coronavirus.
But people are yet to die even more from this coronavirus.
Ithi ke ingilosi namanje celani uNkulunkulu ukuthi nicela ukuthi le coronavirus ezayo inganibulali.
And she said that even now you must give offerings and ask that this coronavirus which is coming does not kill you.
Ingabulali nezihlobo zethu eziseduze nethu kakhulu.
That it does not also overcome our immediate families.
Manje lokho esizokucela akuseyona into eyinkolelo ngoba sesinento ephathekayo ukuthi uNkulunkulu uma umcela ukuthi ekwenzele into umkhonza uyayenza leyo.
So what we are about to ask for is not just a belief, but it has been evident that if you truly believe in God, God does do what you have asked of him.
Ngakho ke sonke sizokhipha 100 rand umuntu emunye ukubonga kuNkulunkulu ukuthi usivikele kwi coronavirus.
Therefore, we must all give an offering of 100 rand and give thanks to God that He has protected us from the coronavirus,
Njengokucela kwethu.
just as we asked.
Sibuye futhi sikhiphe umnikelo o100 rand ukucela ukuthi uNkulunkulu akaqhubeke nokusivikela ku2021 kuyona icoronavirus.
And we also give offerings of 100 rand and ask God to protect us from this coronavirus in the year 2021,
Nabantwana bethu
and our children
nezihlobo zethu.
and our relatives.
Lokho kufanele ukuthi sikwenze ngaphandle kwedelay ngoba kuyinto ebalekile kakhulu ethinta imiphefumulo yethu.
And we should do that without delaying, because it is something that is important and concerns our souls.
Kunabantu abaningi kakhulu ngeinhliziyo abanye nangokwenza asebekuleli bandla.
There are many people who are in this church in the way which they carry out themselves, and their hearts are here with us.
Njengoba ngihlale ngisho ngithi ezinkonzweni esizenzayo isikhathi esiningi abantu bafika ko26,000.
And as I said, that in many of the sermons that we carry out, people amount to 26,000.
Kulaba abantu abawu26,000 baningi kakhulu abantu asebengakithi kodwa ngesimo esikusona esingakwazi ukuthi sifinyelele kubo nabo abangakwazi ukuthi befinyelele kithi.
And amongst these people, the majority of them are on our side, but because of the situation that we are in, we are unable to reach them, and they are also unable to reach us.
Ithike ingilosi asikwazi ukuthi labo bantu bese sibakhohlwa ngoba mhlawumbe singabazi noma mhlawumbe bengakabhajadiswa abanesifiso sokuthi bejoine leli bandla.
And the angel said that we should not forget about those people, even though they have not been baptized, but they do have the wish to be part of this congregation.
Kunabantu lapha abaningi asebelizwile leli ivangeli lethu balemukela.
There are many people which have heard our gospel and have accepted it.
Leli ivangeli elithi sinonkulunkulu oyedwa.
The gospel that says that we have but one God,
Akakho omunye.
and there is none else.
Ngamanye amazwi leli ivangeli elakheke phezu kwa-Isaiah 43 verse 10 to 11.
This gospel, which is built upon the book of Isaiah 43 verses 10 to 11.
Leli ivangeli elakheke esihlabeleleni 119 esikanjwe umprofeti.
This gospel, which has its foundations in the hymn 119, which was written by the prophet.
Isihlabelelo 119 sithi thina siyamthanda lo onokusindiswa. Isihlangu sethu nguJehova onokusindiswa.
This hymn says that we love the one who has redemption. Our shield is Yahweh, which has redemption.
Thina siyamthanda lo onokusindisa. Sophelela sonke kuJehova onokusindiswa.
We love the one which has redemption, and we will all gather in Yahweh who redeems.
Wena uyamdinga lo onokusindiswa. Kuphela kwakhe uJehova onokusindiswa.
You also need the one who has redemption, and it is only Yahweh who has redemption.
Alikho nelinye igama esingasinda ngalo. Kuphela igama likaJehova esingasinda ngalo.
There is no other name in which we can be redeemed in. It is only the name of Yahweh which we may be saved in or redeemed.
Asinazihlangu esingavika ngazo. Kuphela igama likaJehova esingavika ngalo.
We do not have any shield to protect ourselves. It is only the name of Yahweh in which we may protect ourselves.
Asinazikhali esingalwa ngazo. Kuphela igama likaJehova esingalwa ngalo.
We have no other weapons in which we may fight with. It is only the name of Yahweh which we may fight with.
Bonke abantu abakholwayo ukuthi Ujehova yedwa ongasindisa. Bonke abantu abakholwayo ukuthi igama elingasindisa ligama lika Jehova kuphela. Labo bantu labo bangamanazaretha kaNkulunkulu noma bengakabhajatiswa.
All the people which believe that it is only Yahweh who can redeem us, and that it is only the name of Yahweh which we may be redeemed by, those people are Nazarites of God, even though they have not joined the church.
Angeke sifise ukuthi uma ngabe uJehova esephakathi kwethu esisindisa nabo bona bengasindiswa.
We do not wish that when God comes amongst us to save us, that they are not part of the people who are going to be saved.
Ingelosi ikhulumile ngalabo bantu.
The angel also spoke about those people.
Kodwa ukuze uhambe nathi ukhona into okufanele uyenze.
But in order for you to partake with us, there is something that you must do.
Uthi ushembe kwesinye isihlabelelo wena uyathanda ukusilandela lapha siyakhona. Uboqale uthenge isibindi sokuya lapho esiyakhona.
In one of the hymns, Shembe says, would you like to follow us where we are headed to, or to our destination? You must firstly be courageous, buy courage for where we are destined to go.
Ngakho ke kulabo abantu abathanda ukusilandela kulenkolo yethu kuzofanele ukuba bebe nophawu luka Jehova.
Therefore, all the people who would like to partake in our congregation or in our faith system should have the sign or the symbol which represents Yahweh.
Ngoba njengamanje sekunonkulunkulu abaningi abathi nabo bayasindisa.
Because there are currently many other gods which claim to redeem.
Kodwa abantu abazosindiswa ilo nkulunkulu ophakathi kwethu okokuqala kufanele bebe nophawu.
But people who are going to be redeemed or saved by the God which is amongst us must firstly have the sign.
Yikho ngithena uyothi kuphela lonyaka kube kubonakala ukuthi ubani uNkulunkulu ngampela and who is fake God.
That is why I said that before this year ends, it will be evident who is the real God and who is the fake God.
Lo umuntu ofuna kuba esijoyine uzokhipha u100 wophawu.
And a person who wants to partake with us must give an offering of 100 rand, which is to be a symbol.
Ngalo 100 rand uthi mina ngiyakholwa ukuthi uNkulunkulu munye uJehova nokuthi uNkulunkulu osindisayo uJehova uphela.
By this offering of 100 rands, they are saying that I believe that there is but one God, and that the only God which redeems or saves is Yahweh alone.
Ebuye ikhiphe u100 rand wokucela ukuphila kwi-coronavirus.
And then they will also give another 100 rands offering to ask to be saved from this coronavirus.
Ongathanda ukwenza lokho engakwenzi.
Whoever doesn't want to do that should not.
Ongakholelwa kulokho engakwenzi.
Whoever does not believe in that should not.
Kodwa ofuna ukwenza nokholelwa ukwenze ukuthi ekwenze futhi ekwenze masinya ngoba asazi ukuthi i-coronavirus ibhekiphi.
But whoever wishes to do that or has the belief in what I'm saying should not delay in doing that, because we do not know where this coronavirus is headed.
Umuntu noma ngabe ungumKristu noma ngabe ungumNazaretha uma engekho kuleli bandla uzokwenza lento akade ngichaza manje.
Whether someone is a Christian or a Nazarite and they are not part of this congregation will they will do what I just explained.
Ngoba maningi amaNazaretha asebona ukuthi ayadukiswa.
Because there are many Nazarites which have seen that they are being sent astray.
Maningi amaKristu abona ukuthi le ndlela abahamba ngayo akuyona.
And there are many Christians who can now realize that the path which they have taken is not the truth.
Igama esiphila ngalo igama likaJehova.
The name in which we are saved by is the name of Yahweh.
Alikho futhi elinye ozoliphatha.
And there is none other which you shall carry with your lips.
Ngoba uShembe usifundise lelo gama.
Because that is the name which the prophet taught us.
Ngasho ekuqaleni ukuthi ingilosi yathi ngiyofundisa abantu ukuthi uJehova ukhonzwa kanjani.
I told you in the past that the angel said I must teach people how to worship God.
Nokuthi leyo mfundiso iyokwakheka ezimfundisweni zomprofeti Isaiah.
And that such a teaching will have its foundations in the teachings of Prophet Isaiah.
So lokho engikushumayelayo kwakheke emfundisweni yomprofeti Isaiah esihlabelelweni 119.
And so what I'm teaching you is built upon the teachings of Prophet Isaiah Shembe as written in hymn 119.
Ngiyazi ukuthi kuleli ibandla njengamanje abantu abalilandelayo bagcwele umhlaba, abanye bako Cape Town, abanye bakuphi.
I know that the people who are now followers of this congregation are all over the earth. Some of them are in Cape Town and in other various places.
Ngakho ke kungaba nenkinga yokuthi bethi sizokwazi kanjani ukuba sinikele ngalomnikelo onqunywe ingilosi ngoba unqunywe ingilosi onqunywa ngayo.
And so maybe they will ask, how will we be able to give the offering which was said by the angel, because that is the amount which was decided by the angel, not me.
Umuntu ofuna ukunikela uyoyifaka imali ebank.
Anyone who wants to give an offering will put the money into the bank account.
Kodwa ngaphambi ukuthi uyifake imali ebank uyithatha uyibeke esosweni noma eplatini.
But before you put the money into the account, you'll firstly put it in a saucepan or in a plate.
Bese uyaguqa.
And then you will kneel.
Bese ukhuluma noNkulunkulu lo esimkhonzayo.
And speak directly to the God that we worship.
Uthi ngalomnikelo 100 rand inkosi Jehova ngicela ukuba ungibeke uphawu lwakho.
And you must say that with this 100 rands, I ask of you, God, that you put your symbol or sign on me.
Ngalo 100 rand ngicela Nkosi Jehova ukuba ungivikele kulesi sifo eCoronavirus, uvikele nezihlobo zami noma nomndeni wami.
And with this other offering, I ask that you protect me from the coronavirus and protect my relatives and family.
Bese uyawuthatha lo mnikelo njengoba unjalo usa ebank.
And then you'll take that offering and put it into the bank.
Inombolo yebank iNew Nazareth Baptist Church.
The the name of the account is New Nazareth Baptist Church.
Account number 409.
The account number is 409
721
721
9060.
9060.
Ngiyayiphinda futhi.
I'll repeat it again.
409 721 9060.
9060.
I-reference ithi umnikelo.
And the reference should be umnikelo.
Lo mnikelo uyofakwa ngabantu noma bangamaNazaretha noma bayini. Uma ungayilo ilunga laleli bandla uyothi ngo100 rand ucela uphawu lokuthi ube ngumntwana kaJehova. Kodwa uma ukuleli ilunga uyothi Nkosi ngiyabonga ukuthi ungcinile wangivikela kwi-coronavirus.
And if you're not a member of this church, you will be asking for the symbol, that God may put his symbol or sign upon you. But if you are part of this congregation, then you will be saying, God, I give thanks to you for protecting me from this coronavirus.
Ngiyafisa-ke ukuthi abantu abangayiwa amalunga leli bandla beqaphele ukuthi lo mnikelo awusho konke, akusho ukuthi uma usukhiphela umnikelo usungavele nje ube ilunga laleli bandla, ngoba asithengi khona ukuphila kodwa sikufundisa ukukhonza uNkulunkulu.
I wish for people to know that just because you have given this offering does not mean that you are a full member of this church and that nothing will then happen to you, because we are not buying life, but we are teaching you to have faith in God.
uNkulunkulu esihamba naye ukhonzwa ngokugcina imithetho yakhe.
The God which we are with is worshipped through the observation or keeping of his laws.
Akusiyena uNkulunkulu ovele ungene esontweni umbizo busuthi usuyamlandela. Cha, utshengisa ngezenzo ukuthi ngiyamlandela uJehova.
He is not a God which you may just go into church and call upon him and then claim to be his follower, but you show that through keeping his laws.
Ngakho ke noma ngingeke ngisho manje ukuthi igcineni yonke imithetho, kodwa umuntu ocele ukuba uphawu lukaNkulunkulu lube kuyena uyogcina isabatha, into yokuqala leyo engenayo exception.
And whomever has given the offering and asked the symbol of God to be upon them must observe the Shabbat, and that is the first rule which does not have any option open to it.
Ngoba isabatha lona lilodwa liwuphawu lokuthi umntwana kaJehova, lona nje lilodwa.
Because the Shabbat on its own is a symbol that you are a child of God.
Ngakho ke awukwazi ukuthi ubese ukhipha umnikelo kodwa ungagcini isabatha bese uthi unophawu lukaJehova.
So you cannot just give an offering and then not observe the Shabbat and think that you are now with the symbol or sign of God.
Ngifisa ukuba ngifunde incwadi kaExodus 31 from verse 14 to 17.
I wish to read the book of Exodus, chapters 31, from verses
14 to 17.
14 to 17.
Gcinani isabatha ngokuba lingcwele kini, ilowo nalowo olonayo uyakubulawa nokubulawa, ngokuba osebenza umsebenzi ngalo uyakunqunywa kubantu bakubo.
It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever, for in 6 days the Lord may...
Are you reading what I'm reading? I'm reading. From verse 31, from verse 14. Gcinani isabatha ngokuba lingcwele kini, lona lo olonayo uyakubulawa nokubulawa, ngokuba osebenza umsebenzi ngalo uyakunqunywa kubantu bakubo.
The book of Exodus, chapter 31, from verses 14. Observe the Sabbath, because it is holy to you. Anyone who desecrates it is to be put to death. Those who do any work on that day must be cut off from their people.
Izinsuku ezisithupha kosetshenzwa, kodwa ngosuku lwesikhombisa kuyisabatha lokuphumula, lingcwele kuJehova.
For 6 days work is to be done, but the 7th day is a day of Sabbath rest, holy to the Lord.
Bonke abasebenza umsebenzi ngosuku lwesabatha bayakubulawa nokubulawa.
Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death.
Ngalokho abakwa-Israyeli bayakuligcina isabatha balilonde ezizukulwaneni zabo libe isivumelwano esiphakade.
The Israelites are to observe the Sabbath, celebrating it for the generations to come as a lasting covenant.
Liwuphawu phakathi kwami nabantwana bakwa-Israyeli kuze kube phakade, ngokuba ngezinsuku ezisithupha uJehova walenza izulu nomhlaba, kepha ngosuku lwesikhombisa waphumula.
It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed.
Ngakho ke njengoba uNkulunkulu esho usuku lweSabatha liwuphawu phakathi kwethu njengabantwana bakwaIsrayeli noNkulunkulu.
And as God has said, the Shabbat is a sign between the children of Israel and God.
Ngaleyo ndlela ke ukuthi ukhiphe umnikelo akusho ukuthi usunophawu lukaNkulunkulu uma ungagcina iSabatha.
In that way, it does not mean just because you have given an offering, you have the sign if you do not observe the Shabbat.
Abantu bonke kusukela namhlanje abayimisele ukuthi bebe ngaphansi kwaJehova bayogcina iSabatha okunye.
And the people who are serious about being under the authority of Yahweh will observe the Shabbat amongst many other laws.
Kodwa futhi bekufunde ukugcina yonke imithetho kaNkulunkulu. Ungathi usuthathe isivumelwane nophawu lukaNkulunkulu kusuwenza izinto ezisinengiso kuNkulunkulu.
So they must also learn to observe the other laws of God or decrees of God. Do not take on the covenant and then go on to do things that are detestable to God.
Ngoba uzothi ma kufika ingilosi zikufica usuwenza izinto ezisinengiso bese zingakuvikeli kule coronavirus bese uthwe naye okusho ukuthi uNkulunkulu akanawo amandla kanti inkinga ikuwe.
Because when the angels come, they might witness you doing these detestable acts, and then you go on to say that it means that God does not have the might to save, yet the problem is with you.
uNkulunkulu seshilo ukuthi angakho ukuthi akaboni futhi angakho ukuthi akezwa angakho ukuthi akanawo amandla okusindisa kodwa izono zethu ezenza ukuthi engakwazi ukuba esindise.
Because God has said that it is not because he cannot save and that he cannot see or hear, but it is our iniquities which stop him from saving us.
Ngalokhu sinifundisa ukuthi leli ivangeli egcwele emhlabeni elenza sengathi uNkulunkulu akekho. uNkulunkulu sizomqala ukumazi kuleli bandla ukuthi ukhona.
And by this we are teaching you that this gospel which is being preached upon the earth, that God does not exist, will be shown to be false, and it will start off from this church.
Njengoba sisho sithi thina sesibonile ukuthi uNkulunkulu usindisile. Baningi abasazobona ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyasindisa ngaphandle kwevaccine.
And as I've said, we have witnessed that God does save, and there are many others which will witness the same, that God can save despite the vaccine.
Ithi ingilosi ngiyazi ukuthi abantu bazonithuka kodwa okusalayo ukuthi abantu bazophila.
The angel said that I know that people will swear at you and insult you, but what is truth is that people will live.
Ize yathi ngiyazi ukuthi bazonibiza ngobashiri kodwa okusalayo ukuthi abantu bazophila abazokwenza lento esithi abayenza.
And she said that I know that they will refer to you as Pushiris, but what is true is that people will live.
So ke abantu abafuna ukuba bebuyele kuJehova abangasho ngomlomo akubonakale ukuthi ngempela bafuna ukubuyela kuJehova.
So people who want to go back to God should not just say that by word of mouth, but it must be seen that they want to go back to God.
Abantu abakholela ukuthi linye igama elisindisayo igama likaJehova ababonakale ngesenzo ukuthi bakholelwa yilokho.
And people who say that there is but one name which saves must be seen through acts, and that is how we will know.
Laba abanye uNkulunkulu sizoke sibabone ukuthi bazokwenza njani.
And those that have other gods, we shall see what they will do.
Ngoba owethu uNkulunkulu uzosindisa.
Because our God will save us.
Zobona ke bona ukuthi nalabo uNkulunkulu bazolukhuza ni bazoncintisana noNkulunkulu ekubeni uNkulunkulu.
And we will see if their God will be able to compete with our God in his godliness.
Lo nyaka akuwona unyaka kuba sithukane.
This is not a year for us to keep on insulting each other.
Akuwona unyaka kuba solane.
It is not a year in which we should be reprimanding each other.
Kodwa unyaka ukuthi abantu bebone ukuthi uNkulunkulu uphi.
But it is a year which we must show people as to where God is.
Ngithi mina uNkulunkulu sihamba naye.
I say to you that we are journeying with God, we walk with God.
Angusho lokho emotionally kodwa ngisho ngoba kuyiqiniso.
And I do not say that out of emotions, but I say that because it is the truth.
Abanye ke abathi lo uNkulunkulu esihamba naye onguJehova ukhona uNkulunkulu abalingana naye sizobona ke ngo2021.
But to those who say that there is also another God and they equate that God to Yahweh, we will then see in this year.
Eminyakeni ephambili ngangiye ngitshela abantu ngithi mina thina sihamba nalo uNkulunkulu okwathi abantwana bakwaIsrael sebephambi kolwandle waluvula ulwandle bahamba phakathi.
And in the years that have passed by, I would always tell people that we are walking or journeying with the God who parted the sea when the children of Israel were caught between a rock and a hard place.
Sihamba nalo uNkulunkulu abathi abantwana bakwaIsrael sebelambile behamba iminyaka engama40 wehlisa imana ezulwini kuza ezobodla.
We are journeying with the same God who provided the children of Israel with manna when they had no food.
Sihamba nalo uNkulunkulu okwathi uDaniel phakathi emphandweni weingonyama kodwa zehluleka umudla.
We are with the God that saved Daniel when he was in the pits with the lions, and the lions did not eat him.
Sihamba nalo uNkulunkulu okwathi oShadrach sebefakwe esithandweni somlilo kodwa baphuma bengashili.
The same God who saved Shadrach when they were put in the abyss of fire.
Sithi lowo uNkulunkulu yilona osahamba naye namanje.
And we are saying that is the very same God which we are walking with till this day.
Uma lo uNkulunkulu wayekwazi ukukhipha oShadrach esithandweni somlilo engehlulwa yini ukuthi esivikele thina kwi-coronavirus.
If that God was able to save Shadrach from the fire, what will defeat him from protecting us from the coronavirus?
Kufanele kuba sibe nokholo oluneqiniso nolumethemba ngempela uNkulunkulu.
We must have a faith that is true and which trust God entirely.
Kodwa siqonde ukuthi ukholo lwethu luhamba nokugcina imithetho kaJehova.
But we must be of the understanding that our belief must be accompanied by the observation of the laws.
Isihloko salenkolo sithi uJehova uphakathi kwethu, uJehova usimemile.
The topic of today is that God is amongst us and God has invited us.
Njoba namhlanje njena singenisa umhlangano kaJanuary.
And as we are here today, we are going to be, this is the beginning of the holy gathering of the month of January.
Inyanga kaJanuary inyanga lapho uNkulunkulu esimema kuba sibe naye sihlale naye.
The month of January is a month that God has invited us to have an assembly with him and dwell with him.
Lenhlangano inhlangano endala ngisho eBhayibhelini ikhona kodwa ikakhulukazi umprofeti Isaiah wasifundisa ngalenhlangano.
This is an ancient assembly It is even found in the Bible, and the prophet Isaiah Shembe taught us about it.
Ibalulekile le nhlangano kaJanuary.
This assembling is important.
uNkulunkulu wakhuluma noShembe wathi siyohlangana entabeni yasenhlangakazi.
God spoke with Shembe and said that we'll meet at Mount Ntlangakazi.
Kwathi ngoJanuary 1913 uShembe wahlangana noNkulunkulu enhlangakazi.
And in January 1913, Shembe met with God at Mount Ntlangakazi.
Ikhona ke isihloko salenkolo salenkulumo sithi sinomhlangano noJehova.
And that is why the topic of today's sermon says that we have a holy assembly with God.
Ngoba ngaso sonke isikhathi umprofeti uma wayohlangana noJehova wayehamba nathi.
Because all the time when the prophet would go to assemble with God, he would go with us.
Sifike sihlale lapha entabeni simsinele uJehova.
And we would stay at the mountain and dance for God.
Sikhonze nangeSabatha sikhonzela uJehova.
And worship him even on the Shabbats.
uJehova ehlale esihlalweni sakhe ebone ukuthi nanku umsebenzi walenceku yami engayithuma wona ebone sisina phambi kwakhe.
And God would sit at his throne and witness us dancing before him, and he would say that this is what I sent my servant to do.
Noma singasakwazi kuyenhlangakazi noma ubaba mkhulu engasekho, kodwa uJehova unomhlangano nathi ngalenhlangano kaJanuary.
Even though we no longer go to Mount Ntlangakazi and Prophet Isaiah Shembe is not amongst us anymore, but Yahweh has a holy assembly with us in this month.
Ngiye ngizwe kuthiwa amanye amaNazaretha ayethi uma engayanga emhlanganweni kusho ukuthi abasakwazi ukugcina imithetho yenhlangano, kodwa la kumaNazaretha kaNkulunkulu akukho lokho.
I've heard many Nazarites saying that if they were unable to gather in the holy assembly, they do not have to keep the commandments of the holy month. But in this church it is not the case.
Kusukela manje na sesisemhlanganweni noJehova.
Starting from now, we have entered the holy assembly with God.
Njengoba sesisemhlanganweni noJehova kusho ukuthi asokwazi ukuthi sinkwa esivuthelwe.
That means we may no longer eat leavened bread.
Njengoba sesisemhlanganweni noJehova asakwazi ukuthi sihlangane namakhosikazi ethu akasakwazi ukuthi ehlangane nathi njengokwejwayelekile.
And we may no longer be engaged in intimacy with our wives, and our wives can no longer engage intimately with us.
Ngoba njengamanje asibona abethu kodwa singabaka Jehova.
Because in this month we do not belong to ourselves, but we belong to Yahweh.
Le nhlangano siyibeke eceleni ukuthi ngayo sikhonze uJehova kuphela.
This month has been set aside for us to worship God only.
Into eyenze ukuthi sithi masicela kuNkulunkulu ukuthi iCoronavirus ingahlaseli nangampela ingahlaseli ukuthi simkhonzile uJehova ngokweqiniso.
What has made us to be protected from this coronavirus is that we have worshipped God in truth.
Namanje nake uNkulunkulu asimkhonze ngeqiniso.
And let us also worship God in honesty as well.
Singayenzi into ephambene nomthetho kaNkulunkulu.
And we must not do anything that is that contradicts with the laws of God.
Makuthiwa ungasidli sinkwa esinemvubelo ngeSabatha ungasidli ngomhlangano ungasidli.
If you are told that you should not eat leavened bread in the holy month, then do not do so.
Uma kuthiwa ungahlangani nomkakho ngenhlangano ungakwenzi lokho.
If you are told that you should not engage in intimacy with your wife, do not do that.
Ingilosi yasichazela kabanzi ukuthi ukwephula lemithetho kuyingozi kangakanani kithi nasempilweni yethu nasezulwaneni zethu ngokuthi njena kuthi umhlangano uhlangane nonkosikazi wakho.
The angel explicitly explained to us the dangers of engaging in intimacy during the holy month, and that danger is not only faced by us, but it also befalls on our generations.
Asibona abantu bakulomhlaba abantwana basePhakameni.
We do not belong of this world, children of Ephakameni.
Singabantu bakulomhlaba ngoba senyameni.
We are people of this earth because we are in the flesh.
Kodwa simele izulu.
But we are the ambassadors of heaven.
Impilo esiphilayo impilo yezulu.
The life that which we live is a life that is divine.
Ngathi abantu abaningi bayosinda.
Through us many people will be saved.
Kodwa ngiyafisa ukuthi ngeluleke abantu abazihlobo zethu.
But I wish to advise our relatives.
Ungahambi uyokwenza into engasile wedelela uNkulunkulu ngoba wazi ukuthi umama wakho noma ubaba wakho noma ubhuti wakho uyilunga laleli bandla.
Do not go and do something that is detestable in the knowledge that your mother, father, or your brother is a member of this congregation.
Busocabanga ukuthi ngoba ngithi uNkulunkulu uvikele thina wavikela nezihlobo zethu kohlale kubanjalo.
And think that just because I've said that God has saved us and our family members, it will always be like that.
uNkulunkulu wenza into oyithandayo ngesikhathi sakhe futhi akho umuntu ongambuza.
God does what he wants in his own time, and there is nobody who can question him.
And uNkulunkulu ungambekeli condition.
And do not place conditions for God.
Shadrach bathi uNkulunkulu wethu uzosivikela kulesi sithando somlilo.
Shadrach said that, and his brethren said that our God will save us from this fire.
Basebeqhubeka bethi kodwa noma engasivikelanga angeke thina sisikhonze isithixo.
And they continued by saying that even if he does not protect us, we will not worship an idol.
Ngisho the same words ezasho ngoShadrach namhlanje.
I say the same words which were said by Shadrach today.
Ngithi kusukela namhlanje ngiyasho ngithi uNkulunkulu uzosivikela kwivirus sonke.
I say that God will protect all of us from the virus.
Kodwa noma abe kuthiwa akasivikeli angeke sisuke kuye.
And even if he does not protect us, we will not forsake him.
Futhi ngeke simjezise.
And we will not punish God.
Kodwa siyacela uNkulunkulu ukuthi ngathi ewubonise umhlaba ukuthi ukhona.
But I ask of God that through us he must show the world that he exists.
Umhlaba wonke uyamphika.
The whole world currently denies him.
Wonke.
The whole world.
Onke amabandla.
All churches.
Ngisho abafundisi abakhulu abakhuluma lutho ngoNkulunkulu.
Even great priests are saying nothing about God.
Basitshela nje ngovaccine.
They are telling us about vaccines.
Besitshele ngalokhu.
And many other things.
Kodwa abasitsheli lutho ukuthi lo uNkulunkulu esimyela esontweni uzosindisa kulokhu kufa. Abasho lutho ngalokho.
But they are not telling us that the God which we worship will save us.
Lokho kuchaza ukuthi kumabandla onke uNkulunkulu uNkulunkulu wokuchitha isizungu.
That means that to all the congregations, God is just an entity for entertainment.
Uma isizwe sesisenkingeni, hayi uNkulunkulu ubekwe eceleni.
When the nation is faced with troubles, God is set aside.
Ngoba vele uyinto yokuchitha isizungu, into engekho.
Because he is something that does not exist and is only there to entertain us through our boredom.
Sicela ke ukuthi uNkulunkulu asebenzise thina ukubonisa umhlaba ukuthi uNkulunkulu khona.
We ask of God to use us to show the world that he is alive.
Ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyakwazi ukusindisa.
That God is able to save.
ukuthi uNkulunkulu akafani namuntu,
that he is not comparable to anyone,
ukuthi uNkulunkulu nale coronavirus engayiqeda nje kalula,
that he can also put an end to this coronavirus easily.
kodwa uNkulunkulu akazukwenza lokho kubantu abangakholiwe,
But God will not do that for people who do not have the faith,
ngoba uNkulunkulu akancengeki lutho kumuntu naye ongamkhonzi.
because God requires nothing from a person who does not worship him.
Uthi uShembe uNkulunkulu uyise wabamkhonzayo.
The prophet says that God is the father of those who worship him.
Ngakho ke sithi thina uNkulunkulu noma singekho perfect, kodwa Nkosi singabantu abakhonzayo.
So we say to God, though we are not perfect, but we are a people who worship him.
Singabantu abatshela abantu ngawe.
We are a people who tell people about you.
Singabantu abakwesabayo.
We are a people that fear you.
Ngakho ke siyacela Nkosi ukuthi ngathi utshengise umhlaba ukuthi ukhona.
So we ask of you, God, that through us you show the whole world that you live.
Lokho ukwenze ngokuthi usivikele kwi-coronavirus.
And do that through saving us from this coronavirus.
Uvikele nezihlobo zethu eseduze kwethu kwi-coronavirus.
And protect our relatives and our immediate families from the coronavirus.
Siyacela ukuthi lokho okwenzile ngo-2020 ukuthi kungazange kwaba khona ngisho elilodwa ilunga lethu elike lakhala likhala ngoba uhamba ihlobo salo noma likhala ngoba kwenze njani ukuhlangene ne-coronavirus, uphinde kungababikho isililo kuleli bandla esidalwe i-coronavirus.
That as in the year 2020 we did not witness any member of our congregation weeping on behalf of their family member who passed away from the coronavirus. May the same happen in this year, that we do not lament because of this coronavirus.
Siyakwazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu uzokwenza lokho.
We know that God will do that,
Ngoba siyamethemba lo Nkulunkulu.
for we trust this God.
Thina sihamba noNkulunkulu ophilayo.
We walk with a living God.
Thina sihamba noJehova.
We are with Yahweh,
uJehova ngeke esishiye.
and he shall never forsake us.
And u-2021 uzophela siphila.
And the year 2021 will end and we will still be alive,
Sonke
all of us.
umanje silandela lento esiyalwe ingilosi.
If we abide by the words which we have been advised by the angel,
Ukuthi thina sibonge uNkulunkulu ukuthi usindisile i-coronavirus unyaka wonke.
that we must give thanks to God for saving us the whole year of 2020.
Inkosi uselokho Nkosi.
May God bless what you have heard.
Ngiyathandaza. uNkulunkulu wasekuphakameni. uNkulunkulu kaShembe. Siyabonga Nkosi ukuthi unyaka wonke ka-2021 ka-2020 sithema siza kuwe sizonikela. Sizocela ukuthi usivikele inkosi le-coronavirus. Sizocela Nkosi ukuthi uvikele nezihlobo zethu. Wena Nkosi wakwenza lokho. uNkulunkulu uyisimangaliso. uNkulunkulu uyadinga ukudunyiswa yilabo abakuthandayo. Nkosi siyakuthanda noma izono zisehlula kodwa siyakuthanda. Yamkela umthandazo wethu. Khumbula Nkosi bonke abantwana abakuthandayo abalapha nabangekho. Ubaphilise Nkosi kulesi sifo se-coronavirus. Engababikho Nkosi umuntu kuleli bandla utholakala sehamba emhlabeni ebulawa yi-coronavirus. Engababikho Nkosi abantu asebethathe isifungo sokuthi Nkosi bebe ngaphansi kwakho. bengahambi emhlabeni Nkosi bebulala iCoronavirus. Sicela Nkosi kuba ujabhise umhlaba. Ubone Nkosi umhlaba ukuthi wena ukhona. Wena uyaphila. Wena uyasindisa. Wena uNkulunkulu onamandla onke. Okwazi Nkosi unqoba zonke inkosi izifo. Wawushilo Nkosi ukuthi ngenxa yezono zethu uyosehlisela izifo ezingelapheki. Kodwa Nkosi sicela ukuthi lezi izifo Nkosi zingahlangani nathi. Ngoba Nkosi ngaso sonke isikhathi siyakukhonza. Akukho okunye sikwaziyo Nkosi ngaphandle kwakho. Ngicela ke kuqabatela wasekuphameni kuba ube nabo Nkosi laba abantwana bakho abakukhethile. Abashilo Nkosi ngomlomo wabo nangezenzo ukuthi nguwe wedwa umsindisi. Ukuthi nguwe wedwa uNkulunkulu. Zibonakalise Nkosi kubo ukuthi nguwena wedwa umsindisi. Nguwena wedwa uNkulunkulu. Mabaphile Nkosi abantu bakho ungabashiyi. Lesi sifo Nkosi asingabanawo amandla kubantu bakho. Lesi sifo Nkosi masinqotshwe. Lesi sifo Nkosi masingachangazi phezulu kwethu. Asibona Nkosi abantu bomuntu. Kodwa Nkosi singabantwana bakho. Cela Nkosi kuba usikhumbule. Noma Nkosi lezi zifo zisifuna ukusinqoba. Kodwa ngegama lakho Nkosi singasinqoba. Manje Nkosi kuze kuphathe. Amen.
Amen.
Hlabelela. Yilo